Here's a concept a lot of professionals forget about in promoting themselves as an expert in their field. If you're looking for a new job, consulting opportunities, or other types of employment engagements, even if it's an internal opportunity to get a raise, writing short one-pagers is a powerful way to get the attention of decision makers. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. A one-pager is designed to get the attention of prospects. Now, a lot of people today are going to say articles, and you're going to write articles here and you write articles there, but they don't talk about why this is such a powerful technique. And I use this technique, and I've helped a number of high-income, six-figure professionals use this technique over the years, and it's simply doing a one-page educational article that promotes you as an expert. It positions you as an expert. I'm going to give you some formulas towards the end of this podcast episode, but I want you to understand this. This is one printed page. Imagine you've just spoke to a room about a topic that they're interested in. So you're at a trade show, you're at a association meeting, you're at a brown bag luncheon or a lunch and learn at your company, and you're going to talk about a topic in which you are an expert. And at the end of that talk, you're going to hand out one single page of paper, printed front and back, double space, and it is going to describe one thing about what you do, but position you as an expert. Now, why is this important? Because you're probably saying, oh, I should be posting on LinkedIn. I should be on social media. Yes, you can still be on social media, but what are you going to say? Well, what you're going to say is something that positions you. So I have in front of me a package I put together for a client about a procurement. So on the front of the thing, it says procurement topics. So this is a package that this individual provided for a senior level position that would include mentoring junior level procurement professionals, and they wanted to see communications examples. So what we did is we wrote 5 articles. Each article is one print page. That means when it's in a PDF file, they can see it front and back side. You got to lay out the file correctly. And if they were to print it out to do a small workshop, a small talk, or even a webinar, it would be a standalone, digestible piece of information. It says right here on the topic, the author's name, and it says sample topics written for company workshops, internal supply chain management association, local chapters, and Toastmasters. Materials written from, and then I put a year through current because they want to see current information here as communications examples. Now, these articles were used as Toastmaster speeches. So we essentially just transcribed a Toastmaster speech and summarized it down to the key essential information that fit on one page. This one page is important, and I'll share with you why here shortly. But we have 5 topics. And so what we're saying to the company is we've spoken, and this individual has actually spoken to local chapters of the ISM Association. They have spoke about these topics in depth at these associations, gave these handouts, which include 3 critical elements. Number 1, a interesting headline. Number 2, a hook in the first paragraph, and this hook is really about why somebody should read this, why this is important. And then finally, a byline at the end of the article. You're looking at 250 to 400 words here. The reason why it's a single page is because it's easy to digest. So this recruiter, in this particular case for this packet, this recruiter can print this out. Now this is 2012 through 2017. So this was sent digitally, but we know this recruiter likes to print stuff out. So they printed stuff out and they can look at it. It's easy. It's all one thing. The front and the back of the article are on the same page. This is extremely important. The headline at the top of the page, your hook, and then your concise positioning yet informational article on a topic where you're an expert, followed by a byline. It gives you an artifact, something that can be passed along. It also lets you lay it out on a table in front of you when somebody says, hey, procurement professional, you're applying for a senior level procurement position. Tell me a little bit about what you do. What's some of the benefits of procurement? Well, I'm reading off the topic here, and this is not a very good headline, but this is what the client settled with. The title says, Procurement Slows Business Loss. Okay? This individual is an expert on reducing the losses in the business and doing mitigation work when there has been a bad contract, when there has been a situation where the company's overspending and otherwise needs to reevaluate a procurement position. And so the article talks about why it's important. If you do it, the first sentence, when you do procurement right, you prevent loss in business. What is it that the client wants? They want to prevent loss. Now, it would be stronger in hindsight to say stop losses and then talk about the hidden losses. But again, these articles are based on your expertise. And if you aren't comfortable with the persuasive sales-oriented language like the 7 mistakes procurement managers make that causes companies to lose money, then you have to write it however you write it. I personally, when I do these sheets, I'll have a ripping headline. I'll have a headline that you've got to read this article or your job is at stake, and then that hook paragraph that really digs in the shocking fact about not doing X or Y. So for example, if I was writing an article about the use of these one sheets, my headline might be ignoring this ancient yet effective communications tool could cost your career. See, I want somebody to read this thing and take action. And what happens is they'll read one of these articles, and then at the end, they're going to say, well, I want some more information. And then your byline has your full contact details. Now, again, I know you're saying, well, I don't have letters anymore. I don't have print materials. And that's where you're missing out on a massive opportunity. So let's talk about that opportunity. First off, the reason why the article is on the front page is on one page, front and back. It's not 2 pages, it's 1 page, and there's a big bold headline on the front page, and then there's a byline on the back of the page, is because you want to think about this as media, and anytime you have a mailing list or you have an opportunity to submit to a newsletter or magazine, you want it to look like media communications. Why do we want that? Well, media is very credible. Now, again, it's double spaced, so we're not talking about writing an essay for college. We're talking about positioning yourself as an expert. One of the other titles here is How to Leverage a Single Source Situation. Okay? Another title here, Negotiation Skills at Their Finest, 7 Rules to Follow. You want the reader, who is a hiring manager, to read this and see your value in their organization. Now, you don't have to give them a whole book. And I know I teach about special reports, and I know I teach about webinars and positioning presentations or platform presentations. This is about that 1 page. You've been talking to a recruiter, and you write one of these, and now you need a reason to follow up. So you applied for the job, you've been talking to the recruiter, and they've gone cold. Now you can send them by mail a letter. This is a cover letter that reintroduces who you are, why it's important to talk to you, that you're available and what type of positions you're available for. And by the way, I've included a copy of my letter that talks about, and then you mention the topic. So I think the next one in here that talks about, in this case, spending other people's money, how procurement professionals have a responsibility to spend other people's money. And then basically they read the article and they say, oh, wow, a procurement manager is a gatekeeper. A procurement manager is a steward. A procurement manager is this. Maybe I want this procurement manager because they know what they're talking about. Now, here's what's powerful about this. Again, it's 1 page, front and back, physical page. When that recruiter gets an actual first-class letter in the mail addressed to them, now, of course, you got to go find their address. What happens? Well, first off, they're not getting letters from anybody else. They open it up. They see your cover letter. Hopefully, you're using some letterhead. If not, just make it look like letterhead. And then they read that second letter, and they're like, this person knows what they're doing. So whether you're looking for a new career opportunity, a consulting opportunity, a speaking opportunity, this helps you show up credibly because your article looks like news, with authority because you're there physically in print, and it helps you get the attention because you're there and nobody else is there. I know a lot of folks are going to be confused about this, but again, this is a number 10 envelope. It looks like personal mail. It goes directly addressed to the recruiter at their address, either at the office or at their whatever their mailing address is. It gets routed to them. And I know the objection a lot of people have is that it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost you about $1.50 a letter. Okay. But again, if you're making $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, $250,000 a year, then it's worth the investment to get hired by being found. Now, again, I promised you that I'm not, so archaic that the only thing I do is send letters. I know there are other ways of doing it. So you can recycle this content into social media posts if you want. You can recycle this content into LinkedIn if you want. But the biggest mistake people make is when they're broadcasting this stuff on social media, they're there in a crowd of other things. So that recruiter might see it and they might not see it. You might be shadow banned. You might not be shadow banned. You might send it at the time of the day the recruiter's not checking in. And by the time they check in, there's 1,000 other posts on there. But if you do post it and they do read it, the biggest mistake that professionals make is they don't have a call to action to give them, the reader, something to do, something to break their train of thought enough that they take action and get familiar with who you are. And again, if you've written this article front and back page in a PDF format, because you've printed it out, so save it as a PDF, then print it out. But as a PDF format, you can say, and I'm just, this is off the top of my head. I have this article in my hand that says how to leverage a single source situation, and I'm going to use the hook. Actually, I'm going to use the first tip. Here's the social media post. Every supplier has underlying motivations for closing a deal. The salesperson may need the deal to achieve their quarterly, semi-annual, or yearly quota. Okay, yes, so what? If you want to know how to leverage single source situations to maximize purchase value, click here. And you have a link where somebody can opt in and instantly download your PDF. Now, what has this done? Now, folks, I know this sounds like marketing, but what this has done is now giving you the name of an interested recruiter, an interested hiring manager, an interested peer in the marketplace, so you can now start a conversation. You've done a pattern interrupt, and now they see you through all the junk. Now, of course, if John Doe goes to your website or clicks the email or sends you an email and requests this PDF and you send them the PDF, you can now ask John Doe a little bit about themselves. Now, I would go and research them on LinkedIn, and then I would say, hey, I noticed you're a recruiter. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm interested in. By the way, attached is the special report or the article that you requested. They get the article in a meaningful way. They read it. And if they printed it out, it'd be on front and back of a sheet of paper. It'd be very easy to digest and handle. And who do you think they call? Who in their mind is an expert, in this case procurement, or an expert in risk management, or an expert in project management, or an expert in the thing that you do? Who do you think is top of the mind when it comes to that topic? Now, again, I'm telling you about a packet that I created for a procurement manager who is applying for a senior level procurement position. They used this packet with 27 different recruiters. Listen carefully. When you write these articles, you've done the work once and you use it many times. Yeah, you can still do social media tweets and you can engage in the message boards and you can do all that. But now you have something to offer as an expert. Now, out of those 27, I don't have the specifics off the top of my head, but they ended up with a six-figure job, about $135,000 a year for a senior procurement position that they worked for a number of years. They loved it, and it was done because, again, they positioned themselves as an expert. This particular position came from the idea that we wanted to demonstrate to one recruiter that this person could train, this person is knowledgeable, and this person knows how to get results. And then we used that same packet in various different ways. We used it as a lead generation piece. That's, hey, here's a teaser. Take this action and I'll send you a copy of the report. We posted some of them on their LinkedIn profile, but a lot of times with LinkedIn articles, they're very often buried in a lot of other content. We sent it out as an add-on for follow-up letters and thank you notes. So they actually wrote a little thank you letter. And they sent it to a recruiter. Hey, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me about such and such a position. I'm interested in the position. By the way, I have this many years of experience. Here's a link to my LinkedIn profile. And by the way, I've included a short article that I use in my presentations at the local trade association, at the local chapter of my ISM or whatever the association that you work with. Now, you might be saying, well, Justin, I don't get to speak at my trade groups. In fact, I don't know what to talk about. And boom, that's exactly why these articles are so powerful. Because again, once you've written these articles, front and back of a page, the next time you're at a chapter meeting, you go to the training coordinator and you say, hey, look, I'd like to do a 5-minute presentation, just kind of a refresher about leveraging single source situations, why single source is important at times, and how to handle single source. Some of the reasons you might choose a single vendor when multiple vendors are available. Your article becomes the outline for your presentation. And the article, hand it to the person, gives them an overview of what you know and a byline with your contact information to contact you. Can you see how easy this can be? Now, I know a lot of you folks are wasting time and chasing people down, getting distracted on social media and such. If you do this, and this is a bonus before we close this episode up, if you do this 1 article per month, now you've got a newsletter. And now you can position yourself as an expert in a field. You can build up a network of cub individuals, people who are learning your trade, who are interested to learn from you, as well as stay in front with a credible reason to stay in front of hiring managers and recruiters who hire your type of person. Now, the first time I saw this article set was way back in the 1990s with a quality assurance individual who basically wrote these up every week. Now, what did he do with them? He sent them to hiring managers. He sent them to recruiters. He sent them to his network of quality managers and configuration management individuals. And he also sent them to trade publications and trade associations. Now, what do you think that meant to his career? Now, he's long retired, because what it meant to his career is every day he had opportunities come his way. Now, again, because this is part of the bonus, because he had this network of people who were peers, when a recruiter came to him and he's happily employed and he doesn't want to switch jobs, he could refer that job to people in his network. And because he had a relationship with these people, because he was taking the time to spend his money and send this newsletter every month. Now, he used his as a newsletter. He mailed them a cover letter, which had a kind of current events. And then the article was the second element. So it's kind of like a prospect newsletter. He mailed this no charge to hundreds of people a month on his own dime. So he's putting out $200 to $300 a month doing this. And we can talk about ways of doing this more efficiently, but essentially that $200 or $300 a month was the least investment for the maximum return, because he always had opportunities. And when he wanted a promotion, when he wanted to go to the next level, when he wanted to add another $20,000 to $30,000 to his earnings, he just did it because he already had the relationships, using a simple technique that you can use today, despite all this digital technology, by simply writing a positioning article on a single sheet of paper, front and back, double spaced, 12-point font, a bold headline, a opening hook paragraph, and then at the end, you're going to have a byline that includes your contact information, a little bit about yourself and contact information, and then putting that directly in front of decision makers, recruiters, peers in your industry, and other folks. Now, today, there's many more ways of doing it. You can do podcasting, you can do videos and other things. But again, the power of the letter is a physical artifact in the hands of decision makers, and it has the credibility of a news source. It has the credibility of an authority. It feels like a trade publication. It feels like something that is worth the few minutes it takes to read. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you have any questions about what I've covered today, visit www.adbriefings.co.uk, where we talk about how to improve your communications, how to write words that sell, how to get the attention of decision makers, and make more sales. If you're an independent professional, it means more engagements. It means more projects. It means more job offers and career opportunities. And it's all with words. I'll see you in the next episode, and be sure to ask your questions. I'm always here interested in hearing from you.